Episode 3 of Hell Frozen Over. We're live tonight and all season long from the new Venezia's Pizza Presto on campus at ASU for the next hour or so here on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app. I'm Tyler Paley. Happy to have you along as we discuss the team's latest news, notes, and storylines. And, of course, joining me tonight and every show this year is Arizona State head coach Greg Powers. Coach, happy belated Thanksgiving. How was your holiday? Did you do anything fun?
Just hung out with family and ate a lot of food, and it's time to work it off now. Yeah,
tell me about it. I got a good nap in on Thanksgiving. That's my favorite tradition. I got to ask you this. Start, bench, cut. You want to play a game real quick?
Sure.
Turkey, mashed potatoes, apple pie.
Mashed potatoes and turkey are a combo, so let's go together.
So you're starting and benching?
Apple pie, I'm starting those. I'm starting apple pie.
Okay.
I always choose the apple pie over the actually pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
I like pumpkin pie over apple pie and pecan pie.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
As they say in the South, pecan pie.
Pecan pie. It's a difficult one, but I think you're onto something. All right, let's get into the meat of our conversation here. I want to talk, before we get into your team, about ASU athletics broadly. It's been a pretty uneventful month, right?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot to talk about. Just kidding, of course. How does hockey kind of fit into the overall theme with football on their terrific run? Men's basketball off to a great start. Women's as well. Volleyball clinching the Big 12 title. Like, it just seems like everything is going right here in the world of Sun Devil athletics.
It sure is. You know, I'm glad we could contribute in some positive way, obviously with the sweep over the number one ranked team. But the stories right now are obviously the encompassing seasons that, you know, J.J. Van Niel put together with volleyball. I think that's first and foremost. 28-2 Big 12 champs, Big 12 Coach of the Year. They had the Libero of the Year, the Setter of the Year. Unbelievable season. Just really excited for him and his program. And I really wish I could go to the game Friday, but it's going to be at the same time as ours. So hats off to them. And then obviously what Kenny's doing is unbelievable. And I just actually talked to him about an hour ago, and he's a win away from making the college football playoffs. So, you know, we hope in about 2.5 months to be the topic of postseason, conversation, and we like our chances with it.
Yeah, it's been a fun month. It's been just a wild ride, and I know this campus is kind of really feeling the energy. I want to rewind to the Omaha series. That's kind of where we left off after our last show. You guys were heading into that series, first time home at that point in over a month. The loss in game one, that one was tough. You called it kind of a carbon copy of the Colorado College games, just kind of an inability to get the lead at any point, finish that game. How frustrating was game one when you started to see that trend develop?
It was. I mean, it seemed like our guys were doing all the right things and playing the right way and bought into doing what they needed to do and just not getting rewarded, right? We just were having trouble putting the puck in the net. Some unbelievable goaltending, back-to-back weekends, two of the best in the country, in Imberko and Latkoczy. He's a great goalie. So, it's going to make us better, and our guys stuck with it, and it's a full credit to our players for sticking with it and getting through some frustrated times and finding ways to get wins.
Yeah, and they clearly got the message heading into game two, right? I mean, you never trailed in that game. I make note of that point, and I'm going to come back to it because it's important. But overall, that game number two was one in which your guys seemed more confident, seemed to control the pace. Obviously, the scoreboard. You just said it a moment ago, and you often talk about deserving to win. And to me, that was one you guys not only deserved to win, but you actually won.
Yeah,
which was good.
No, it was good. I think it's just sometimes you have to go through some adverse situations and moments to achieve your ultimate goals. And I think that's what this team can look back, hopefully moving forward, and say that we did. You know, we went through some adversity early and understood through that adversity what it's going to take to have success and get the results that we want. And now 3 games in a row, you certainly have seen that.
We both know, obviously, how winning at home is important for points in the NCHC, standings, pairwise. You have to defend home ice and take care of business. But I'd argue it's also kind of a mental advantage to get a home win before a tough road series. I know in the grand scheme of things, Game 2 against Omaha was a regular season win in November, but can you put in perspective kind of what that win did for your team's confidence heading up to Denver?
I mean, it just put us going in the right direction. You know, I mean, our team's confidence, I don't think ever faltered. Even you know, losing the first 3 conference games because of how well they played, and they knew they were right there, and you know, so that's what I think is potentially very special about this group is you know, we built a veteran team to get, you know, to go into our first year conference play with. And we got a lot of guys that have been through the rigors of conference play and you know, understand that yeah, you go, you know, technically 0-3 and technically probably could have and should have been 3-0.
Yeah. There's
a lot of hockey left, you know, and so our guys were patient with it, just kept working and obviously got through it.
And then the Denver series comes, right? And you have never really had much success up at Magnus Arena statistically. We talked about it. Denver really better than not only you guys, but every team in just about every category. So this series needed to defy the stats, and it did. Talk about, I mean, controlling the game. Your Sun Devils, again, they never trailed. They stayed in it for a full 60 minutes, earned a victory over the defending national champions in Game 1. How satisfying was that win, knowing the history there and everything on the line?
It was awesome. I mean, obviously, you know, we've been close up there a couple of times, you know. I mean, whether it's, you know, having a lead with 10 minutes left, a lead with 5 minutes left, we've been in those situations and just haven't gotten over the hump against that program up there. And so... you know, our guys just skated. They played relentlessly. They defended with urgency. They smothered the best offensive team in the country and really frustrated them. And that's got to be a carbon copy of what it should look like every time they put on our jersey. And it shouldn't just be, you know, hey, we're going to play this desperate and this urgent because it's Denver. It's got to be Sun Devil hockey, you know, and that's the standard that our players set, and that's the standard that they're going to be held accountable to playing towards and up to every weekend.
And clearly that carried over into Game 2 because your guys actually trailed for the first time in more than 2 games, but it was short-lived. Denver led 1-0 after 1, then 3 unanswered goals by your team in the second. That really kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. Final score was 5-2 in that one. What did earning that sweep mean to your team in the context of the season and a historical context?
Yeah, I thought we controlled that first period pretty well. Then they took the lead with 8 seconds left in the period on a power play, and that's a power play that when they come down here, I don't want to see because they're really, really good. Maybe one of the best power plays I've seen at this level, and we've seen some good ones, but they're just that good. But you could just feel it. You could feel it in the room, and you could feel it on the bench that that goal wasn't going to break our guys, and we came out and had an unbelievable second period again, a great start to a second period. I think the second periods both nights were our best 2 periods of the season, and you know, when we tied it up, we never looked back. We got 3 in about 8 minutes, and never looked back.
I know you've been asked this a million times by now, but Friday's win at Denver marked 300 for you between ACHA and NCAA. That's a lot of games. That's a lot of players, a lot of memories. When you think about 300 wins, what comes to mind about that accomplishment, both for you personally and for this team's evolution and growth? I
think first and foremost, I'm not getting any younger.
You and me both.
But it's all about the players, you know, and it doesn't matter to me what level. I don't care about the levels. I don't care. Like, every win at every level means just as much. And the amount of kids that reached out, you know, from the ACHA days after that, when they saw that on social media or whatever, and the amount of kids that helped us build our program at the NCAA that reached out, that's what it's all about. You know, it's about the relationships you have and continue to have, most importantly, when guys leave the program and you see them develop as human beings and move on with their lives and become adults and start to get married and raise families, all those things. So, you know, those guys all pay attention to what we're doing, and they're proud of being, you know, Sun Devil hockey alums. And you know, it's been a great journey with every one of them, and it's all about those memories with the players that are most important.
Yeah, the relationships and those memories. That's pretty awesome. It seems like your current roster is getting healthier. Of course, we'll talk more about that in our overtime segment later on and get an injury update. But while you were down, some guys you needed to fill holes, right? David Heimovich was moved up in the line chart, played a lot more minutes. Tony Achille, Cole Gordon added some ice time as well. Tucker Ness moved up from defense to forward when you needed him to. What do those guys tell you about kind of the willingness of your team to do whatever is necessary for the team?
Well, I mean, we have 3 core values, and it's integrity, passion, and the third one is selflessness. And I think when you take a look at kids like David Heimovich and Tucker Ness, how selfless they are, and really just anything we ask them to do, they do it. And they do it to the very best of their ability, whether it's Heimo, playing in a top 6 role in the Omaha game and getting a huge goal for us in the third period, or playing on the fourth line and getting 8 minutes a night, get pucks out, getting pucks in, and finishing checks and getting off. And then Tuck, while we were down so many forwards, stepped up and gave us a big body that gave us physicality and gives us energy, not only through his play, but most importantly through his value add with our culture on the bench and in the room. And he's just a great kid and an unbelievable teammate. So that's what being selfless is all about, and that gets contagious. Then when guys see those guys doing everything that they need to do, and then the unsung guys that are great in practice every day, that are pushing the envelope, like Cole Helm and Tony Achille and Hunter Mullet, the guys that haven't seen a lot of time or any time, but they bring it every day, and they show up every day ready to work and push their teammates, and they never have an attitude about what their role is. That's what selflessness is, and then when you have kids like that in your program and on your team, it becomes contagious, and then you start to see teams come together and play as well as we did. We played really selfless hockey up in Denver, and again, that's what it's going to take moving forward to continue to have success.
We have about 15 seconds here, but I do want to ask about our guest coming up. About to talk with Artem Shlain, massive contributor with some late game-winning goals recently. He's also on a 3-game goal-scoring streak. What has he meant to your team all season long since?
Yeah, I mean, I think people can see how important he was to our roster build and what a piece he was. And missing him for those first 6 games, it hurt us. And he didn't have any practice time leading up to when he started to play, so he jumped right into it. It took him really 2 series to get his legs, get his lungs, and get his confidence back. And the intangibles that he brings are what really separate him. It's not just, obviously he had a great weekend. He scored 4 goals, but winning face-offs and being great defensively, puck retrievals on the power play, those little things are the intangibles that help teams win games, and that not every player is really good at doing, and he is.
We're excited to talk with him next, and we'll talk with you coming up in our overtime segment about ASU's path forward and where you go from here. Coach, enjoy some pizza in the meantime.
I will.
All right, up next, the Sun Devils' most clutch player recently, a guy who was sidelined with an injury for the first 3 series of the season, and what a shot in the arm Artem Shlain has been for this team. We're going to talk about why right after a quick break here on the Mountain America Credit Union Sun Devil Radio Network.